So how many of you have heard of the phrase, time is money? That's right, time is money. It's not anything else. You can't use anything else to visa time but money. And this is why I got into the metaphysics of money. And this is why I lost a lot of my religious so-called fans. It's because they don't understand time and money. See, in religion, they preach against money. See, in religion, they teach that money is the root of all evil. Even though they claim, there's different churches and, they raise money and, they talk about if you're not rich, you can't be with Christ and things of that nature. But you notice there's still a follower-leader relationship. And this is kind of what led me to supposedly take a sabbatical, of which I ended up visaing the time that I was under in one day with this ritual that I did. The reason why I was going to take a sabbatical is because of financial problems with the business not being able to generate enough funds because of a certain lien that was put on me, a time lien. Yeah, these bankers put a time lien on me because they're working for some particular religious nut that comes from the Nation of Islam and this organization, which is called the Nation of Islam that I was in, that wants to still put me up under their jurisdiction. So that's what this came from. And I ended up visaing all of that in one day and was blessed with one person who gave a nice sized donation. And what I decided to do with that particular person is go ahead and make a series of videos discussing exactly, not really about me, but exactly what happens when you get involved in a religion or something of that nature, and then you decide you're going to go ahead and become a free thinker. You decide you're going to go ahead and break away from the religion, and you essentially decide that you're going to, get into astrology or metaphysics and what can potentially happen to you. See, the thing is this, astrology itself, that's why I chose that as a very lucrative industry. And religion, which is what I came from before, I was actually a minister in religion, believe it or not. And religion is a lucrative industry, but the difference is one big difference. See, religion is evil because they want you to believe that if you try to go for yourself and do something for yourself, truly for yourself, you're going against God. And they teach that, however, if you begin to get into the higher aspects of religion and the different religious leaders, what are you going to find out? You're going to find out that these leaders are into the same sciences that they're teaching against. They tell you not to get into astrology, but then you find out that these leaders are studying astrology. I know because I've done readings for many of them. Yeah, that's right. I've done readings for many of them. And they're fakers because they want you to believe that if you get into these things, you break away, you're going against God, you're going against Christ, or, whatever the case may be. But in this case, since I came from a religious Islamic background, they teach that you're going against Allah. If you break away from these certain organizations. And not only that, when you start to get into talking about money and really vising time and money, this is when you're going to become a huge enemy to the religious pastor, who's really, most of them are really just manipulators and somewhat of like pimps. And essentially you're going to get into a beef with them because why? They have a flock. They're like a shepherd. And these are like sheep, the people that follow them. And when you decide that you're going to go and, and teach a doctrine that will eventually free the mind, this is when you potentially become a threat. See, I broke away from Islam through studying astrology and came back into Islam when I learned about my nationality. When I came back into Islam, when I learned about my nationality, I realized that Islam as a religion is wrong. Islam came from a secret society, believe it or not, that was out of Egypt, Kemet. Everything about Islam came from this secret society. Even the star and the crescent, which is a 5-point star, and I'm going to talk about that, then I'm going to shut it down. That's another reason why I left it alone, once you start studying stars. So even though it comes from this religion, right, that's based out of Kemet or Egypt or whatever you want to call it, and everything about Islam you could find it on the walls of Kemet, right? And they didn't call it Islam. It was actually the school of Ishtar, believe it or not. That's right. She was the lunar deity with the 5-pointed star and the crescent up under when it was originally an 8-pointed star that was taught by certain theosophical societies, and they took it out and turned it into a 5-pointed star. Why? Because they became lazy. I'm just going to use that term for now. What do you mean by what do you mean lazy? What are you talking about? Yeah, that's right, because they became lazy. They decided that they didn't want to see about things anymore and count things and calculate things and measure things. They decided that they wanted to allow somebody else to do it for them. They decided that they want to be sheep instead of being leaders, and they essentially became lazy. So they had to take off 3 of the points and made it into a 5-pointed star. And believe it or not, there's no such thing. I've learned this and studied this in the universe. There's no such thing as a 5-point star. I've talked about this in other videos. The 5-point star is a government star representing government. You learn this in the ADAP chamber in the temple. It represents love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. However, it's the 5 and it's missing 3 points. This is why Solomon, who's in another, see, you just got different Nation of Islams. You have the one that's under Farrakhan, then you have Solomon, and you got all these different leaders in America that represent Islam. And then when you go overseas, you got imams and things of that nature that are leaders and international leaders in Islam. So you have all of these ranks and people to answer to. And when you start studying these leaders, these people are worth millions of dollars, and they're rich, and they take donations. That's right, they take donations. You want to get mad at me because I asked for $100 or $500. These people get $10,000 and $20,000 donations for lies. See, in the Egyptian mystery system, you was an astrologer, you were rich. That's right, you were rich. You were considered wealthy because of the fact you had knowledge that could not only make you money, but that could put some money in someone else's pocket, because this is teaching you how the system of economics even works down to this day. So this is why I chose astrology to teach and things of that nature. So you got different groups. So Solomon, he chose to roll up under the 7-point star, right? And he chose the 7. So then you got the 5-point star. You got all these different stars and points. And you got to ask yourself, what do they mean? Now, I'm not going to go into all of that right now because we don't have time, and time is money, like I was saying earlier. But I'll say this: the 8-pointed star is the occult star. This was the original star used in these teachings, and eventually it was broke off. If you go and study with Alice Bailey and these different old occultists, they'll show you the symbols. It was an 8-pointed star and it was broke off. So I'm gonna close down by saying this: the sabbatical is not over, and actually it's not the sabbatical, it's not over, but I'm going to go ahead and take a break and make a few videos that's going to lead me into hopefully addressing this issue in Chicago that I want to kind of address, because ultimately what's going to happen is, even if I don't make the few videos, I'm just going to say it here and now, just put it out there. Because of the issue in Chicago, in my headquarters and what I do, yeah, that's right, I have a headquarters. It's based in Chicago, and then you have this other group that I came from, this Nation of Islam group that still have people within it that are watching my videos that want to put me on a standard, on their standard. You're in the Nation of Islam, you follow him, I'm a leader. I created this. If you believe in what I do, you donate to me, and then we go from there. But if you follow them and them over there, I'm not in that. I'm just going to put that out there now. And not only am I not in that, if certain things don't happen and they keep parakeeting what I do, they're going to end up owing me a lot of money over there. I'm going to say that like that, because I have ties and stake in that based upon the fact that of me studying more science. And I know where they got their information from in their doctrine. They don't own it. I'm just putting it out there. So it's like, don't test me and think that, you're just going to shut me down, because I know where it's coming from. It's coming from them groups. And I say what I want on this shit. I don't care if it's public or not. That's right, don't watch it. Because you address the other people and dog them publicly in these groups. And you call names out. So I'm calling names out. So don't test me. Because I came from that organization. And yeah, I'm a Moor now. And we know that the Nation of Islam came from the Moorish science. So everybody knows that. And we know the Moorish science temple came from the Egyptian mystery system, because a prophet taught that. But the thing is this: until you do certain rituals, you can't teach about certain stuff. And don't let me call you out. Because I know you ain't did the rituals. And I can shut you down easily. That's right, you can shut down teachers once you start learning this information. I can stop you. You're like, how are you going to do that? It's a freedom of speech. They can say whatever they want. Oh, believe me, there's a system set up to where if you're going out here misleading people and it's proven, see, a lot of people have lost the knowledge. This is what they talk about, the loss of knowledge. See, a lot of people have lost the knowledge. But if you can prove that these people are not only taking people's doctrine and information and making money off of it, this is called, they call it plagiarism in America, but it's even worse than that when you deal with ancient systems and things of that nature. So it's like, if you're not going to address where you got this information from, don't come on my channel if you're a part of those organizations trying to debate me, because I will really end up hurting your feelings. Seriously, because of the fact that I'm not going to even take shots at the leaders, because most of the leaders are fake. I'll say that too, and don't make me make videos talking about this. I don't have to take shots at the leaders because they don't exist, many of them. See, that's the thing. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. This is the best kept secret that the Illuminati and these big old heads that's in the 60s and 70s that control finance through annuities, this is how they're standing in power. This is why they're scared of me, because I'm a millionaire for real. But they hold my funds back because they control my annuity. I made $1 million through advertising and an annuity, several annuities. And annuities are governed by 60 and 70-year-old, 80-year-old men, especially. So what I'm going to say here is this, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. We're going to have to really go into Chicago and go into different cities and explain what these cities represented to the Moors and what these cities represented to the indigenous, to the Navajos and people like that, before you had certain religious nuts that were part of the control of the Catholic Church come over and try to change the whole doctrine around. And I can prove all of this. So I'm going to say this. This is why they're scared of me talking about money. That's what they really fear, is because it's not the fact of just the money itself. It's the fact of the religious system could be destroyed if people start to realize and learn more about economics. See, don't get it twisted. Religion is what runs this thing, y'all. It's the top. It's religion. No matter what they try to tell you, it's the religious leaders and so-called popes and all of these different people that run this stuff, supposedly run this stuff, and this is where it comes from. So I'm going to say this. A lot of these religious leaders are fake. And don't make me decode and break down exactly why and how, because I will. So it's like this. What I'm going to do is that, yeah, I want to get a studio. Yeah, I want to start talking more about economics and how to really wake people up and free them. And yeah, I know I got a blueprint in my mind that's worth over $20 billion. I didn't say 20 million. I said 20 billion. I know I have a blueprint in my mind that's worth over $20 billion, but I'm not going to let a fake religious leader try to use my image and say that I'm not, presentable enough, or I'm, like, basically you saying I'm not light skinned. This is just what you really said. So you said I'm not presentable enough, or people aren't going to listen to me, so therefore I'm not going to make it. And they want to see my videos. They want the channel to be totally gone, y'all. They want it totally shut down. So that's where it's at. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go ahead and address some more financial teachings and things of that nature to help you to understand the difference between when you deal with finances, because money is a spell, as a religious person, and when you deal with finances as a free person, free thinker. What's the difference? These are things we have to address in the future. So I'm going to come back up, man. You guys have a good day. I'm not really here to take shots at your religion. I'm not here to really offend your religion. I'm just here to teach the truth. I'm not going to apologize, but I'm definitely here to teach the truth. And if I offended you, I would say that it wasn't meant, and the spirit of it wasn't meant to offend you, but it's definitely meant to get you to thinking, because you need to think about it before you come up on here on my channel and type. I've read the comments. I read them all the time and make certain comments. Oh, you just know this, that I'm reading them. And not only am I reading them, the more you say, the more I'll expose about your religion. We'll just say that. Because we're at war. The astrology community is at war against religion. I'm saying I lead the astrology community. That's how I see it. I don't care about your views, or how many views you say I do or don't get. I lead the astrology community. We're at war against religion, because I'm not going to allow no religious organization. This is the age of Aquarius. We're going to the age of Aquarius. I'm not going to allow some outdated religious organization shut me down that's being ran by some old man. I'm just going to keep it real with you. So I'm going to come back up with more information. As always, stay vigilant.